Another French Canadian here. Who invited him?
Another French Canadian.
Fine, I'll go eat my poutine in peace.
Poutine.
Oh, again, guys, PG-13. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Heroes Peak podcast. I am your host, Chris, and we're here to talk about entertainment, culture, and whatever the hell we feel like today. And with me today, I have, going 1-1, Mr. Feisty McBuckets.
Who?
Hi, Keith. How you doing, Keith?
Let's get dangerous.
Going 0-2 with me this week. It's Lake Show.
Yep,
How
0-2.
How you doing,
That's
Brooksy?
right, though. I got feisty this week, and I'm gonna shellac him for a 1-2 start.
Hey, it's just the beginning of the week, Blondie. You hold your horses.
Also going 1-1. Seriously destroying me in week 1. Lucky you. It's Silver Surfer himself, James. How you doing, James?
Hey, Raj, I know you're watching. You know, other than the assignment I asked you to do today, get ready for this ass whooping this week.
And the one who sits above all, it's Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, you know, life for me is like a stormtrooper. I miss 100% of the shots I take, so what are you going to do?
Yeah, you also missed Thanos' fantasy basketball league, so...
No, I didn't.
I'll miss it. All right. So, did you guys vote?
Yes. We voted in a non-sexy election because, you know, everybody only comes out for the national elections. But we all voted for the...
No, it's not even the midterms yet, so...
No, it was a
I know.
local and some stuff for New York State.
Yeah, vote to pass college gambling in New Jersey, please.
Well, I'm curious about the New York City mayor's race, right?
Oof.
So
If enough people just stayed home, that have to be a shit ton of people, though. But like, I can see a lot of people just staying home, assuming that like the next guy is going to vote.
Picked up this crappy guy. All right, I'm not going to look at that right now. All right, so we're going to talk Halloween Kills, and we are going to spend most of our time talking about this movie called Dune that's apparently doing pretty okay out there in the box office world. First, did you guys have a good Halloween?
Great Halloween.
Not really. No.
We had maybe 30 kids plus.
Man, that's a lot of kids.
That's not a lot of kids, man. That's like one bucket of candy where we're giving out like full handfuls, and then like everything just shuts down.
That seems irresponsible.
No, that's what the kids want. That's what they deserve for getting out there, getting dressed up.
Wait, what kind of candy did you give them? The good kind?
Yeah,
or did
that's
you give
important.
Out, like, Whoppers?
So we get the variety packs. So it could be any mix of
spinach, broccoli, asparagus,
some cigarettes,
frozen too. So you can't eat
bags. No, it'd be taffy or Milky Ways or
black licorice.
And candy corn.
Candy corn. Did you guys have as kids ever get that one like popcorn ball house?
No, thank God.
I've seen them, but no, not personally.
Yeah, there was always one house in our neighborhood that gave out popcorn balls, whatever the hell that was. But no, we give out solid candy.
Did you
stuff I eat at home? Like I'll eat eat the whole thing at home, so I know it's good.
Did you dress up, Chris?
I did. I was a ninja.
Do you have any pictures? We can put them online.
I should put them.
I like where you're going there, Brooks. I like where you're going.
You can see me. I'm not ashamed.
I
dressed my dog up.
You dressed your dog up. That's about as
far
as you go.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. He was Count Mukula the Vampug.
All right. So James and Brooksy wanted to talk about Halloween Kills. What's that? 14, 15 in the series? I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter because the Halloween that Brooks and I watched was a sequel to the one that came out in 2018, which basically retconned the entire Halloween um, franchise back to the first one, the Jamie Lee Curtis.
Mhm.
So theoretically, in the timeline of the Halloween multiverse, this is the third Halloween in that franchise, with already a greenlit for the next one to complete the quadruple, whatever you want to call it.
Are these things doing well at the box office? These Halloweens? I didn't even look.
I know they're doing well. I mean, I know not you guys aren't horror fans, but they're doing well for the average Brooks audience and the horror geeks like me. They're doing well.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a horror geek at all. I usually don't watch horror films, to be honest. I definitely, Chris, we were talking about this. I had like a little bit of a trauma as well as a child. Like, just watched Nightmare on Elm Street way too early, and
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, watched it way too early. Literally couldn't fall asleep as a kid. Um, and so I just completely like disregarded this entire genre of films. But my boyfriend is a big horror movie, like, I don't know, geek, but he's a big horror movie film person.
Fan.
Fan, that is the word I was looking for. Thank you. And so we went to the theater and watched this, and
I was going to ask you. You saw it in theater, okay?
I fucking loved it. Like, I loved it. I had no idea how much I was going to love this. I was super into it. Loved it. I loved the way he kills everybody. Like, he doesn't say shit. He just comes through and slays people, and like
Mm-hmm.
in all kinds of crazy ways. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know, it was so good to me, and I feel like I've missed this entire genre of movies, and I need to go back and start watching horror films. Um and yeah, I was super into it, and I feel like everybody should watch them now.
So a little bit of background, Chris, before you go. Sorry, because there's a lot there that Brooks didn't get a chance to let the audience know. So this Halloween movie followed, I said earlier, 2018. But what it also does, is it takes the original 1978 Halloween story, and it takes certain people that were alive in that movie. There were kids that were being babysat, obviously kids who were not killed; they were too young, and now puts them in 2021 as grown adults who suffered PTSD from the original slashing killings. And now they know that Michael Myers is back, and it's like a whole group of these guys that have like a support network that remember different scenes and they actually show you from the original movie when Michael passes one kid. That kid now is like Anthony Michael Hall, who's like 52, and he's like "Evil dies tonight," and that's like a phrase throughout the whole movie. Like these guys are like, "We're gonna get this guy finally. We're gonna save our town." And I'm curious to Brooks how the movie theater reacted because you're right. There was more murder and mayhem than the previous crappy Halloween movies. They're now no longer, the one with Busta Rhymes no longer exists. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch no longer exists. So what was the audience reaction? Because I saw it at home on Heroes Peak TV.
Yeah. I feel like people were really into it. Like, usually I don't like going to theaters where let me say this. I don't mind going to theaters where people are reacting to the movie. That's fun for me. I hate going to theater when people are just talking, but this theater was reacting, and they were super into it. And we saw it pretty late.
May I
Like,
ask you a quick
not like,
question? What was the
yeah,
demographic of your of the crowd in the theater?
I do not remember.
Young, old, black, white, mixed?
Probably pretty mixed. I don't
Okay.
remember, honestly. We saw
I think
like
that's
an
what I
11
meant by that,
o'clock.
but go ahead.
I know. I know what you meant by it. Usually when it's someone just like talking in the background, it's like, I don't even want
I
to
know
go
what you
into
mean. Go ahead. Don't say it. Go ahead. Go.
okay. Um, but there was a lot of reactions. Right. It's like a Karen just that's like talking in the background. Exactly. Thank you. Um, there was a lot of reactions, and like I've discovered that I like seeing movies in the theater a lot better. Then I like seeing them like sitting on my couch. So I think that always adds to my movie viewing experience, but I also liked the reaction of the people in the theater, and people were super into
Yeah,
it.
I missed that. I only had
Yeah,
Eric with me, and it wasn't the same.
yeah. And I didn't have any references to know if this was gorier or not than previous
Oh,
ones.
okay,
So
gotcha.
for me, it was just like he was going through like slaying people and knifing people up and like killing people and like I don't know, I was into it. But like you said, one of one of the things into the killing.
But you have to see it though. The way it's done, it's such like, oh, it's like
It
art.
looks like art.
Yeah,
Yeah. I just didn't think I was going to be so into like the slaying of it all. You know what I mean? But I was. There were some things that annoyed me, which is like I got that the people in the movie were people from past movies. Like that was very obvious. I also like it, just as a sidebar, I like it when movies I don't have to like watch all the previous movies. Like this movie kind of explained itself a little
it
bit.
filled in some gaps. Yes, it
Yeah,
did.
exactly. So one of the things that annoyed me was like the whole town is like, we're gonna get Michael Myers, we're gonna stick together and we're gonna get him. And then they all broke up into like 2 and 3 people trying to kill him on their own. And I'm like, you're gonna die.
But
He's gonna kill
that's how
you.
you make a horror movie logic. You gotta make the whole town stupid.
Yeah, but shout out to Screen Junkies who gives us the pitch meeting, and they did a perfect take on that movie on how ridiculous it sounded because it happens multiple times where they
Yeah.
all look and force, and then as soon as they get to like where he is, they split up. Wait for me. I go check first. Like something really
Right.
stupid. Over here, you just hear somebody yelling, and then the next person goes in. A third person's waiting to find out what's happening. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's even like a Geico commercial now. Like, hey,
Right.
when you're in a horror movie, you make stupid decisions. like,
It's exactly like what this movie was. But it worked. It worked
it
for the
did.
genre of the movie. And then at the end where he comes out and the town is actually there and they're like, "We're going to kill him." And then they go to try to kill him and then he like doesn't die and he just like gets up and starts killing everybody one by one. He does that in a couple of scenes. Like
Yeah,
the
but that
the
last part was the best because there's a monologue that so Jamie Lee Curtis has very few actual scenes in this movie because she's recovering from the events of the previous movie, 2018. She's in a hospital. She had a huge stab wound, whatever. So it's her daughter and her granddaughter in the town that are really interacting with Michael. So when she's finally recovering and near the end of the movie, she gives a monologue about Michael Myers in the sense that he might be more than just flesh, something supernatural. With each killing, he grows. So while that's happening, you see the townspeople are shooting them, hacking him, and they're like, "Yeah, we did it." And then she finishes her monologue, and then the dude just Michael Myers just gets up and then wrecks the entire crew.
yeah. And it's so good the way he does it. Um oh, and here's the other thing that bothered me, which is that when people encountered him, it was like they have whatever weapon they're going to kill him, right? And they're like, "Here's Mike Myers. We're going to kill him." And then there's like, "I'm going to get my gun or I'm going to get my knife or I'm going to do this." Meanwhile, he just comes in and like starts slashing people. I'm like, "Why is there a delay between seeing him and trying to kill him?" And with
It
every
feels
single
like one of those
person.
old Dungeons and Dragons where you got to roll for initiative for
Yeah.
combat. Because if
Yeah.
literally there's one scene where there's 4 of them. The guy has a hockey stick, the guy has a baseball bat, and he's walking towards them, and they're all like circling around. I'm like, roll for initiative. Okay, you go
Right.
first. Like it's
I'm like,
ridiculous.
everybody just kill him. Why is there this delay? Like, that he's going to kill you. He's going to like just walk through you and start like hacking you or whatever. But there's always some delay. And that part kind of annoyed me. But I get it because I feel like it's just part of the whole genre of the
It
movie.
is. No, you hit that on the
Yeah.
head.
So then there's this one other thing that I wanted to talk about. And usually James and I don't agree on movies or on wokeness, I will say.
Oh, yeah, good point.
um
I know where you're going.
okay, but somehow we agreed on this movie and this topic, which is that, and this is not my community to speak about, and I feel like this is the second time in like as many weeks as I've spoken about a community that is not mine to speak about. So I just want to like put that out there. But there was a lot of backlash from the LGBT community about this movie because in
Okay, I need to
his
hear why this is because this seemed like a
okay,
weird thing to come up from a horror
so
movie.
in his childhood home, which is like his home base, that's where he like always goes back to apparently. There's a gay couple that lives there now, Big John and Little John.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
is
Wow.
that supposed to be Lil John?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Wow.
Go ahead,
um,
Brooks. Sorry.
and so there's backlash because he kills them, I guess, but he doesn't kill them any differently than he kills anybody else in the movie.
Yeah,
He the
as a non-speaking bad guy, I'm not. I was struggling with what could possibly have happened on screen.
he
Like,
didn't say
did
anything. That's
In
also
fact, in fact, one
same
of
thing
them
as
he
Mike
kills off
Myers.
screen. Sorry, one of the couple, the second big Little John, you don't even see the murder. You just hear him yelling in the window of the house. He kills him off screen. No one's
He
mad
kills
about the
them
interracial
off
couple,
screen.
the interracial elderly couple that gets killed early on in the movie. No one got mad about that. The old
That
black
dude
lady, the
got
old white
like
dude.
that dude got every single kitchen knife in his
Yo,
back.
he emptied the entire cutlery. Like
Entire
you're just
cutlery
standing there watching him doing it. Like, what is the purpose
butcher
of him doing
block?
and
that?
over and over and over. Every knife in the kitchen.
Nice, full
Um,
butcher block.
yeah. I was confused about that. And maybe one of our viewers has some better insight because I've tried to look it up and I'm not getting anything that makes sense to me. Like all Mike Myers does is shut the fuck up and kill people, right? That's all he does. And he doesn't die apparently because we find out that I don't know if he can't die or just the way they're trying to kill him, he doesn't die, but he didn't do anything differently. So I'm confused as to what the backlash is. So I would like to put that out there if any of our viewers or
Mhm.
all 5 of James's friends that actually listen to our podcast can
Wow.
can clarify
All
what
right,
the big to do is.
all right. Can I ask you, Brooksy, what was the you said it was Nightmare on Elm Street that
Yeah. Yeah.
really? Hmm.
And you know what's interesting? So I actually just went back and watched Freddy versus Jason.
Just saw it
Um
too the other day with Eric.
yeah, so we just watched that and like I was like this is not
Comedy.
it's like comedy. It's like
It's a
not
comedy.
scary.
Yeah.
But it like wrecked my world as a child for
By the way, I
sure.
can't believe Kelly Rowland did that role. That was
I
terrible for her.
know. It wasn't a good look.
No. We talked about that online, but I grew up in a very strong West Indian, Haitian, Catholic voodoo family. And my first movie, I was 6, I watched The Exorcist. And I was told it was based on a true story. And I was traumatized for probably up until I was 13 and 14, realized it wasn't really based on a true story. And
Until yesterday.
yeah, yesterday, when the sequel came out, I realized, oh, it's not a real story. And it made me love horror even more as opposed to like PTSD.
Yeah, see, mine was Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is a Christmas themed horror
Oh, yeah,
movie
maybe.
where someone dresses as Santa Claus and comes and kills kids. Like that's not cool. That really
I
is
could
not
see as
cool.
a child that that would really get
But
to
also,
you.
if my brother is listening, which he may or may not be, thank
Hmm.
you again for they rented a couple of movies one night. So I'm 5 years younger than my brother. So when him and his friends were 15, 16-year old, I'm like this 10 or 11-year old. My parents forced him to drag me along. So whatever he did, right? So the one night they went over to their friend's house and they rented a couple of movies to get. They weren't horror movies, but they had horror stories behind them. So like they rented the Dorothy what the hell's Yellow Brick Road. What the hell's the name of it?
Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz.
Oh my
And
God.
there's a story where when they're going down the Yellow Brick Road, you can see like there was a story that someone hung themselves in the background, and that when you're
Oh.
watching a certain point, you can actually see the person fall off the ladder and the body swing, which turns out to be fake because like something fell or something like that in the production stage. But this whole thing came up that it was actually someone committing suicide on screen, and so a bunch of teenagers rented these movies so they could go, oh look, there's where that person kills himself. And what was the other one? Three Men and a Baby. Supposedly there's a scene where you can see a ghost of a kid who shot himself on set or something like that, or in the apartment where they shot it. And so like it wasn't necessarily just horror movies. It was everything just related to some awful horror history.
Chris, did you ever watch the Blair Witch Project?
No,
Oh.
I've never
Oh my
watched.
God.
Yes.
So good.
That's in my top 5 horror movie. That was the last
So
movie that actually had me hair on my freaking arms raised by the end. That was the last horror movie.
Rexy, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say my friends and I watched that in high school, and we were like shook after we watched it. And for some reason, we decided to go up into like a forest above Pasadena
I knew it.
and
I know the demographic too.
and smoke weed in the forest. Yeah,
And
we
smoke
like
weed.
smoked weed in the forest, and like literally just every one of us ran out of the forest. I don't know if there was like a noise or what happened. All I remember is like we like probably had like 2 or 3 puffs and turned around and just ran. Like I don't remember ever being as
Probably
scared.
some random deer stepped on a branch and you guys thought it was the Blair Witch Project. Blair Witch.
Yeah.
Right.
And we were positive that it was real for months after.
Yeah.
That was the genius of it.
My last non-horror movie, because I don't really watch horror movies, so the last one that freaked me out was in college. Do you guys remember Arachnophobia?
Yes.
Dude, that shit. I was like, no more.
Yeah, especially scares of spiders. Yeah.
Like that one freaked me out. But
so hold on, quick, Brooks. What was your grade? What grade would you give Halloween Kills?
I think I would give this a B+. B+, yeah.
I think I'd give it a B.
Okay.
I'd give it a B. I enjoyed it more than the next movie we're about to talk about, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
Ah, damn, we can't keep lying like this.
I know, it's really fucking with my world.
When we come back, we will talk about that movie that they don't seem to want to talk about. We are going to talk Dune.
Dear Lord.
Dune. All right, we'll be right back. Greetings, everybody. We are back here to talk about Dune. That's right. So this is the Denis Villeneuve, right? Denis Villeneuve is the proper.
I said Dennis, but whatever.
Everybody I've listened to
said I said Dennis Villanova.
Everybody I listened to said Denny this week. So Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah, if you're French, it's Denis.
Director.
I'm French. Dennis de Villanova.
Writer.
How do you say it in douchebag?
All right, Labastilla.
I believe it's because he's French, right? He's French.
Yeah.
French Canadian.
French Canadian, yeah.
Yeah.
He's French.
So yeah.
Canadian.
All right. So cinematography here, it's important to say, is Greg Fraser. So you like the look of it? There you go, Greg Fraser. This is based on the 1965 novel by Frank Herbert, which is supposedly unfilmable, though we've had 3 adaptations now of this unfilmable sci-fi masterpiece. This is the 2021 version, part 1.
Wait, this isn't the movie with The Rock?
Well, there is a rock.
And they have to fight the aliens based on a video game?
That's Dune, freaker.
Oh, crap. What did I watch?
You watched the wrong movie.
Ah.
All right,
They're dad jokes get worse and worse.
Dad jokes.
Another French Canadian here. Who invited him?
Another French Canadian.
Fine, I'll go eat my poutine in peace.
Poutine.
Oh, again, guys, PG-13. All right, so this you want some gravy on that, Mike?
All right, let's come on.
Sorry. I'm not
We lose
mature
Keith.
enough to handle that.
We lost Keith.
All right.
No, you
So
didn't.
this 2021 masterpiece opened in the box office and on HBO Max simultaneously, bringing in $41 million opening weekend. That's domestic, $100 million international, and garnering somewhere in the million to 2 million views according to Samba TV on HBO Max, which is pretty solid. Unfortunately, the second weekend dropped a good solid 69%. So a total domestic gross of $71 million, but making it up overseas.
It was still number one though at the box office last weekend. So
Yeah, but it's a
nobody really went to the theater. That was
Every
Right
weekend is
now,
a new number one. It doesn't matter. Every weekend is a new number one
That's
release.
right.
Yeah.
Every weekend, a new release is a number one. I mean, Free Guy was number one.
No, I'm talking about you're talking
Suicide
about week
Squad.
2.
Yeah,
It was still number one for
yeah,
week
but there was
2.
no new movies. This
There's no new release.
Right.
So this weekend when Eternals come out, it's gonna get back.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody went to the movies, so
Right, but
it managed
yeah,
to hold on. Right?
for a second weekend to drop 69%, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's a drubbing. But for a total $71 million domestic, $228 million international. So much like Fast and Furious, it will make all its money internationally.
So you got to
My
wonder
favorite
though if
show.
it wasn't on HBO
I had to
Max.
bring it up.
You have to wonder if how much more it would have been if not for HBO Max, right? So
HBO Max.
No, you can't. No, because look at Godzilla, Mortal Kombat. No,
Actually, it's looks like by the charts I was looking at, it's right on the Godzilla trend. So if you look at the trend lines, so
Mhm.
this will probably top out just below $100 million. Will be my guess. Domestic, it's still going to make money overseas.
300 million total worldwide.
Right. So I'm going to say 300 to 350 worldwide. It still has a couple of markets to open in. It's doing well enough for what it is. This is
what I'm saying is though, compared to No Time to Die, which broke $100 million only in the box office, Shang-Chi broke $200 million domestic.
do
only in
not
the box
compare
office.
anything this year to Marvel. Marvel has just owned everybody. People come out for Marvel movies. They're not coming out beyond an X amount. They're not coming out for much. Like if you look at all the trends, it's anything that's not Marvel is making somewhere in the $100 million or below domestic,
Yeah.
marketplace. So that's it. And I give everything a kind of a pass in the pandemic because different areas are shut down or open or partially open all over the world. So we don't know, at what point people are being opened up to go and watch movies. So it's doing
Right.
pretty well though. For what it is a high end sci-fi movie that I honestly didn't think was going to hit this well in the box office, but it's doing pretty solid. Right.
Yeah, HBO, Warner Brothers seems to think so. They greenlit part 2, so
Well, yeah, I mean, apparently the people who first saw it in the theaters, there was no little subtitle part 1, whereas we who saw it on HBO Max, little subtitles said part 1.
Yeah, let's be honest. They already had part 2. They had plans for part 2. They just want to wait out and
They
see
didn't have the
how
money.
part 1's going to do. Yeah.
Yeah, they just weren't going to give them the money because unfortunately, Mr. Villeneuve, even though he makes pretty cool movies, you'll know him from Blade Runner 2049 and
Trash.
Arrival.
Trash.
No,
no,
Arrival's
Arrival
like
was
the
a
best
good movie, man.
best
Come on.
sci-fi
Yeah, we
I've
had this
seen in a long
discussion.
time.
Arrival.
No, Arrival was a good movie, man.
Arrival was great. So anyway,
Jane Foster could have done better.
they generally
You
don't
said
make
Rival
big
was
mo-
trash.
We had
Yeah,
this
right?
argument before. You don't remember?
Yeah, that's correct, Keith. He has
He
that
did
kind
look. He did Sicario, which was good.
Which was good. I give
Yeah.
you that. The first one, yes.
But
He
his movies don't tend to make a lot of box office money. So
No,
this is his
he
best
also
one.
did that Prisoners movie with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. Did you ever see that? Where one of their kids gets assaulted or something, so they kidnap the criminal and they keep him tied up in the basement.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I thought it was any movie. That's any
Yeah.
movie. I saw that movie. That's
And
weird.
they struggle with whether they should kill him or let him go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was
That's
really
not,
cool.
that's not to the epicness of Dune. That's
No,
like a
no, of course
shitty
not.
movie.
But he has range. That's what I'm saying, right? He's got this range.
Most of his movies tend to be very paced. It's slowly paced.
Yeah.
He's not doing high end, high intensity anything. Even his action scenes, I would not call high intensity. Maybe a little bit thriller level, maybe, but nothing past high tension. So anyway, so this is a Space Jesus movie. If you're wondering, Space Jesus and Space Cocaine is really the basis of this entire movie.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
It is unavoidable. It is your destiny.
Is this not why you are here?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Knock that shit off.
I'll give you the actual
Spice.
feature adaptation of Frank Herbert's science fiction novel about the son of a noble family entrusted to the protection of the most valuable asset and most vital element in the galaxy. That doesn't really tell you
cartel.
very much about about
Basically
what
a cartel.
the movie's about. So why don't we kind of get into this here? Why don't we start with a very easy part of this topic? We're going to talk about the visuals of Dune because it was a very, very pretty movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was gorgeous to watch. I watched
No
it.
objections here.
I
No
watched it in
objections here.
4K at home, and that was really nice.
Humble brag. What a humble brag.
even
I
at
watched it in
1080p.
7.1 surround sound.
If you must know, I watched it in Dolby Atmos as well for the sound.
Dolby Atmos. Oh man. So yeah, Villeneuve is a great at, and his Greg Fraser, who's the cinematographer here, did a great job of giving you vistas, great giant open vistas everywhere you were, and even when things were bland color wise, grays on some of the planets or browns, tans all over the place, it still felt pretty majestic overall. I mean, that's really all I can say about that. It was pretty cool to watch. What do you got?
Chris, one thing I really like, forgetting the landscape, the technology that they're demonstrating as part of this world, like the different the helipads, the ships, the vehicles. To me, was something that I would expect to see out of a Star Wars movie, because usually Star Wars and Lucasfilm, they're like the pioneers of technology in movies, right? Even if they're not doing a Star Wars movie, they're doing other movies. And to me, it felt like I was watching a Star Wars type IP with the technology that they're showcasing.
Don't tell Dune fans you compared it to Star Wars.
I know. Yeah, but George Lucas stole Dune. That's how blah blah blah. Yeah, my sister, who's probably watching, tells me that all week. You know, that's where George Lucas got his inspiration from. I'm like, easy down, easy.
Yeah, but he put his vision to film well, whereas what's his face back in 1982 tried to make that version of Dune.
Kyle MacLachlan, yeah.
Oh my god! And I don't know what trash he was thinking, but
well, we needed a Snyder cut of that apparently because they
I guess
did half of it. All right, so we all agree it was pretty looking, but let's get into the real meat and potatoes of Dune, which is Space Jesus. But is it really Space Jesus, or is just Space Jesus is a bad idea? What do you guys think of the story of Paul Atreides, played by Timothée Chalamet?
Hated it.
You didn't like Paul, or you didn't like Timothy?
Fucking hate to say this shit.
Elaborate. Tell me why you hated it.
Brooks will speak for me. Brooks, I reclaim my time. Go ahead.
I didn't like any of it. I thought it was boring. I couldn't keep up with what was happening. I didn't understand the backstory. I will say, not that I could keep up with what was happening. I shouldn't say it that way. It's just like the story wasn't moving along for me. It wasn't very interesting. I will say once Natalie explained kind of the backstory, since she read the book, it made a little bit more sense to me. But I don't know. I don't even have anything to say about this. I want my 2 hours and 38 minutes of my life back after watching this.
And to supplement Brooks, I understand the backstory. I watched the original, I read the book, and I still didn't like it. So go ahead.
There you go.
Well, I never read the book. I haven't even fully watched the 1984 one, so I really went in kind of cold. But I thought the story, it wasn't like I couldn't understand where they were going, but it felt very, very simple almost. But I felt like I was missing something, and it wasn't until
Yeah.
I heard a couple of people explain stuff that was left out from the book that I went, oh, so that's kind of the tricks I was looking for, like
Mm,
the whole the Benny Gesserit, who are these space witches, right? These
right.
super powered space witches,
The Night
and
Sisters.
uh, how deep ingrained they are into what's going on in this world. And there's a few parts where, like, I didn't want to watch the movie a second time. I thought it was good, but I didn't want to watch the movie a second time. Where I'm like, okay, yeah, that's right. Paul says something about to his mother about them planting the seeds of him being the Messiah on the planet Dune. But that was like it. Like I needed a little bit more on that. Like, okay, what's going on? Why are these people doing this? Like, who are? I need more about the. If they're going to be this important to this subplot of this entire movie and this universe, I need to more than just like the woman come puts his hand in the box, and then his mother,
Right.
doing, saying stuff to just. I don't think it felt like that group who feels really important was explained or at least showed me well what was going on in this world.
Yeah, I'm with you there too. But you gotta, I think we gotta realize at 2.5 hours, some stuff's gotta go, right?
2.5 hours. I literally sat and watched him eat breakfast for like 12 minutes. And his mom, that was just so his mom could kind of explain, you could get the power structure
There's a
between
moment where
them.
there's nothing happening but him just eating. You remember that moment? There was like no dialogue
There's a
for a
moment
good
where
30 seconds.
a guy's taking an oil bath. There's a moment where lots of moments of people just eating. There's like,
But this is the art part of the Denis film, right?
well, I need a
The
story with the
flow.
art. That's
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
but
part.
Chris, to your point about I'm calling the Night Sisters because this connected to something in Star Wars too. That speech that the main witch gives to him as his hand is in there, supposed to be one of the most iconic speeches.
I
The
couldn't hear it.
litany of
Couldn't
whatever
hear it.
it was. Yes. And in the first movie, it was terribly done too. In the book, it's very iconic. Like if you're a Dune fan, like my sister and other folks, that you get nerdgasm when that moment happens in the movie. But
Did
even
you
me
just
knowing
say
I'm
nerdgasm?
yeah, it's part of the geek culture. Yeah,
you never heard that before?
You
you're
never
not
heard that.
initiated or indoctrinated yet, but it's part of the nerd culture. It's a word. It's in a lexicon of nerds.
It is.
But for them, it was a momentous event to see it on the screen. For me, knowing what that meant, it was still like, yeah, but so what? Like, it doesn't mean much in this
Like it,
scene.
the visuals, the acting in that part where Timothy Chalamet switches from being scared to kind of toughening up and sitting up, and
Yeah,
I was
he's
like,
yeah.
okay, cool, we got some visuals, and I'm like, I can't hear shit. Like, I wish I had subtitles on, and I didn't have them on for this movie for some reason, but I wish I had them on because I was like, I'm missing something here. Like, what's going on that is supposed to be the biggest thing in the universe, but
It's
like,
a test. It's a test to make sure
yeah,
that he's up the line. But even knowing that information, it doesn't make that scene that much more impactful to me, who actually knows about it. So I can't imagine you guys. Like, what does this all mean? Like, I can't hear it. What is she talking about? Why is he grimacing? Like, what's happening?
yeah,
What's in the box? What's in the
what's
box?
in the box?
Like,
It's the head of his.
I think it's the execution that really it just fails with
and
this
I think
movie.
I think this is where the original film, the '80s film, did a better job with that scene. I think there was more description of what was going on because the main character was narrating to the
In
audience.
his head, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
the hardest part about any translation from a book is most books, and especially ones that have lots of like internal dialogue, you have to bring that to a screen without necessarily just hammering the audience with voiceover. I don't think voiceover is usually the answer. So
I don't know. Like,
I know
guys know Lord of the Rings, Chris. Lord of the Rings, if you read the books, there's a lot of internal monologue that happens to some of the characters at key moments. But the movies, like when what's her name? Elven, you know what I'm talking about? When she's talking about what the ring could do to her, she's like talking, but also like mentally speaking at the same time. It's just Dennis Villanova could have done a better way of portraying those scenes without it looking so bland. I think.
See, I think he went. See, in the original, that was my problem with the '80s movie, was too much narration, and I think this one went completely the other way.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about it actually. Yeah.
Somebody's got to meet in the middle here.
They kept pushing stuff to his mother. So his mother was outside the door saying some sort of a chant, and you could see him kind of lip matching what she was saying. And I'm like, okay, all right, I need more of that. What's going on? Like, I need more from those two, and then I need more of the mother thing, of the witch. I need to know more about that. Like, I just felt like I was missing things, missing key details that would have made me feel more like. And it's funny because one of the things I heard a lot was that, wow, Paul has a lot more personality in this than the book, and I'm like, holy shit, why would I read a book if it has less personality than I'm seeing right now? Like,
fair.
what I love about certain stories is character. Like, I could care less about the idea of, this is a story about how a white savior narrative gone wrong and why we shouldn't do. I don't give a shit. Like, I want to care about Paul. I want to care about or the Freeman people. Like, give me more of those people and their relationships, and then give me the other layers. So that's what I'm missing. I didn't feel really much for the characters. What did you guys feel? Did you guys have a character, a Duncan Idaho, or I don't even know.
That's it, Duncan Idaho. You're right. Stop. Full stop. His character, who I believe had a script from a different movie, and he showed up on set, and he was like, "Where's all this damn spice? I'm here to kick ass." My man.
Was that Jason Momoa's character?
Yes.
Yeah, he was definitely from a totally different movie. He just happened to be in this one.
No, I thought
in like from a different dimension. Like characters having a whole different conversation, then they turn around and like, oh, Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
In one scene, when did he shave his face? Because when he first arrives, he's got the Aquaman 2. He probably was filming Aquaman 2. He had the full beard. And then when he's battling to save Timothy Chalamet, all of a sudden he's clean shaven. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, when he first comes in, he's in the jet fight. Like, he's talking about the how the jets are working. And then
Which I love, by the way. Again, I love the machines.
Then he's treating Timothy Chalamet like a little brother, which was cool. I'm like, oh, like personality, and like that scene and the scene with Paul's training was a little bit. Those felt like personality was happening with that character. Like, okay, give me something more about this kid other than that he's a rich brat. Like, I need more than that. They had
I didn't care about any one of those characters at all. They could have all died, and I would have felt nothing for any of them.
I honestly didn't feel anything when Duncan Idaho died. I'm like, wait, why did he do that? I'm like, why did he do that?
I thought that was all right. Yeah,
no, I disagree.
So
do you know my problem was originally? If I'm correct, I think either Jean-Luc Picard or Sting played his role in the original movie.
No.
That's a different character. Apparently, there's another. Dave Bautista has another.
No, it was someone else. I'm sorry. It was someone else.
Dave Bautista's character has another cousin. That
was Sting. Sting, yeah, my bad.
Right, and he hasn't shown up yet. He'll probably be in part 2.
Okay, so here's a question for. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So in this one, I forget who played Duncan in the first movie, but
it's the guy who's no name, Richard Jordan. Just looked him up.
Right, but the Patrick Stewart guy was Josh Brolin, who I thought Josh Brolin did a good job.
I like Josh Brolin.
He did. I like Josh Brolin. His voice forever typecast as Thanos.
I know, man. As soon as he spoke, I was like, "Damn, Thanos!"
Fucking perfectly balanced.
I wish he had more screen time in this one because it was good on screen. The person I thought Zendaya had too much screen time, all 5 minutes that she had. She should have got rid of it
Some people
altogether.
argue too little. No, some people argue the
Yeah, I know,
opposite. Too
that's the
little.
joke. That was the joke, but
Because
No,
she's
she should have had. She should have
that,
had the Luke Skywalker at the end of the Force Awakens, where she's
yeah,
just standing
basically.
there at the top of the mountain and
basically.
tosses his suit or something over her shoulder.
She was in
Yeah.
half of the marketing trailers. You know that, right? And
I
she
know she
only
was at
spent
all.
like
She
5
was at
minutes.
all the interviews next to Chalamet.
Hmm.
You know, talking about, oh yeah, we're starring in this movie together. Starring, you're like
God.
a cameo role.
Apparently, she's got a huge
By
role
the
in
way,
part two.
by the
or
way,
three or something.
Serena told me poor Tom Holland getting his girl taken away by Timothy Chalamet.
Tom Holland could wreck Timothy Chalamet. I'm sorry. Like, Timothy
Wow.
Chalamet looks like he was going to blow over in a strong breeze.
Yeah.
At least that suit that they had him wear, like, gave him some size. He's taller than I
But
expected.
apparently Zendaya is feeling him more than Tom Holland. So there's
All
that.
right. Here's a question. I'm gonna go over to Keith. What did you think of the powder people? Oh, you probably
Who's the powder people?
Powder. You guys don't remember the movie Powder?
Yes,
About
Carter, the freaking the Emperor and
bald,
the
no hair, all
that
white.
dude from Suicide Squad.
You mean the Hakarans?
The other family?
Yes.
Yeah, the other
Yeah,
family.
the
Powder
Hakaran
people.
family.
Yeah,
Albino. Well, not even albino.
there wasn't to me there wasn't enough information about them.
I agree. It
They
was
just popped up into the show as like aggressors. Like I like everything else in the movie, like it seemed to have just appeared. And we were supposed to have already read the book and know that they were all there in the background.
right. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
But
But what's his name? Stellan Skarsgård, Keith, who played the main baddie who was floating the
Yeah.
ball. He was
Conan.
he was pretty impressive as playing the bad guy. Something about him
He
just
was.
felt icky and dirty. Like
well,
like,
maybe it
ugh.
was the oil bath, like the
Well,
his
let me
face,
put it.
the way his mouth
say-
was moving.
10W30.
Yeah, but let me say this: he managed to make the character, I think, creepier than they did with the original version,
Yes.
80s version. And the
Yeah.
80s version had all the nasty stuff on his face and the bleed.
And yeah.
But this one was more, but Skarsgård's version was more ominous and threatening. You know what I mean?
You know who he reminded me of?
this
And
one's sinister.
go ahead.
Right.
Keith. He reminded me of in the Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. What's his name's father? Boromir's father, the steward of Gondor. That creepy dude who was like holding the hobbits hostage, and he was eating in the juice. That
they
dude.
had that
like,
eating scene. They had the whole eating.
yes, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Was that dude? Sorry, Brooks. You have no idea what I'm talking about. I apologize.
Brooks, did you care? Did you think they were anything interesting to follow up on with the bad guys? The bad guys.
Were they? Was the dude? I think the one that got the oil bath, was he a worm?
Apparently,
He's big worm.
He's basically a giant slug in
And
the
Chris
books.
Tucker owes him $200.
But he had like feet. He was like floating and had feet and shit in this movie.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure what he was. Like if he was just supposed to wear a giant robe so he looked like a worm. But
No, he's a normal. Yeah, he's a normal guy.
according to everybody I've seen, like he's like Jabba the Hutt.
That's what it reminded me a lot of Star Wars. I know, James, you already said we can't say this. It felt like a Star. I don't know. He definitely reminded me of Jabba the Hutt.
It's because it came out first. That's really what it was written before Star
The
Wars.
book came out before George Lucas did the.
Like so, Star Wars reminds you of this. is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
basically.
Okay.
But it's more. It's like that more famous younger brother where you're like, shit. Like I did all that stuff first, like Cooper Manning. All right. Let me ask this. Let's go to the technology of this sci-fi movie. I found the technology extremely frustrating to watch because it was
Wait, what?
kind of annoying.
The fuck are you
I
talking
did.
about? Really?
Okay, so this is my main issue, and I know people with the book knowledge might be able to explain this, but they all had these like little personal shield
Force
things.
field generators, yes.
So it kind of forced everybody to use swords. So there's this whole thing about slow swords versus fast swords and shit like that. But still, Someone still had a gun of some type that was able to shoot people and bury into their shields, and they couldn't
Did
stop
you
it.
ever play Dungeons and Dragons when you were a kid? Remember SD and MD class, where certain armor that you were wearing could protect you from certain melee attacks, but when you wear a different projectile weapon, it does nothing to that. Don't you remember that?
So why isn't everybody just using this different projectile weapon that you
Because
can't
it's not
stop?
easy to get or make that projectile weapon, just like in the old RPG
But
games,
you
dude.
can't just bring shit up like that. Then you can't say you can't just drop like this guy, because there was two times there were projectile weapons, some little bug that flew around, and then
that was the poison dart,
That's
right?
a
right,
poison
and then
dart.
this guy is able to shoot him with the shield on, and it's not like you're going, how did you possibly get that thing? No, it just happens to be there.
Okay.
Like,
If this is a
it's
sticker for you
ridiculous.
about this movie, I'm
It's
not going
annoying.
to argue. I'll let you
Also,
take that. I'll
tell
give it to
me
you.
tell me that you found the action interesting at all.
Nope.
No,
I
did not.
I found the overall the big battle at the end, towards the end, with the Harkonnens and the main city. I thought that was done visually
No, that was
well.
boring as all hell.
No,
So
I thought it was
boring.
okay. I didn't
No.
think it was the great. It's not the
No.
All
greatest.
over the place in this one because I disagree
It's
with
not
you
the
tonight.
greatest battle, no. But I thought it was. It kept me interested enough. So
No, see,
I'm
No.
I
gonna let it
didn't feel
slide.
like the shields did anything. Everybody was just using swords. Okay, so it becomes a sword play thing, but it didn't feel like the swords protected anybody from anything.
But
It gave
no,
a
I'm not even talking about the one on
cool
one. I'm
visual.
The
not talking
swords
about hand to
actually,
hand combat.
if you watched it, and I'm not telling you to go back and watch it again. Don't do that. But if you remembered, they turn red as you're suffering more damage, as if you were playing an RPG game. Like
Yeah,
it
it
was
was a cool
theater.
like visual, like as a video game type thing visual where I go, oh, okay, so that guy's gonna die now. But otherwise, like it didn't feel like when people were fighting, this special tech affected the way they were fighting. It didn't. It really never felt in any of the battles like two huge groups clash, and then some of them die. Like it didn't feel any tension to it. They were
So that's
dropping
different.
bombs.
Hold on. That's different. That's the fight choreography that they
They were
showed. That
dro-
was terrible. I agree. That was terrible. Other than Jason Momoa, every action scene fighting style was terrible. I agree on that. But don't blame it on the technology. That's a whole different thing. That's just the
but
way to
but
do it.
but if you're going to include a specific type of technology that's supposed to affect the way people fight, then it should affect the way people fight. It should
I
have
agree. Yeah,
some
I,
sort of
you're correct on that
response,
one.
sci-fi wise.
But
Okay,
that's on the director. That's on the director. He screwed
so
up.
in about 3 minutes, they drop a couple of bombs. The entire army dies, and the leaders get kidnapped. So it was like, oh, all right. That there was no setup to this. There was nothing, no tension within this battle. There was no, oh, maybe we can possibly escape. Like the tension happened after all of the battle scenarios. I just felt like that whole section was like Villeneuve went, well, I have to have this in here. So I don't know, do something.
Yeah, he again, good setup with the. This is my opinion. The technology, good setup. Execution with the action, terrible, terrible execution. Up until again the worm. Then he brings up another from the old movie in the books. It waited too long for us to get to see the worm. Way too long.
No, we saw some of the worm when they were doing that hover over in Arrakis or in Dune.
From a
They were
distance, yeah, from a
they were
distance.
doing the
Yeah, when they swallowed the carrier. Yeah.
yeah, that thing. I thought that was cool. I
Yeah,
like that scene.
but you didn't see the full frontal.
No, you
In,
didn't see that till late, but that's fine. You know, it's a worm. Like,
but it's iconic with the books and the freaking 1984 82 version.
Yeah, wait for part two. Then when we get to all the
When he's
Worm
riding the
fighting.
worm because he's
yeah,
the white
Oh,
Jesus. Yeah.
yep.
Spoiler
Worm
alert.
rider.
Spoiler, Brooks.
I'm not watching the second one. Don't worry.
Yeah, you are.
Spoil all the way.
If you want to get paid, you are.
all right, all right. What did you guys think of the overall pacing of the story? Do you like the Villeneuve storytelling method, or
No.
do you find it?
I actually do. So
I
Do
like
you?
it.
4 thumbs down. The milk is
Three
bad.
thumbs down.
remember, I've said this before. I'm not a fan of action every 10 minutes in a movie, and I don't need it.
I like the storyline. I think as it was presented, it moved along just fine.
Yep, I'm
I
with Keith there.
didn't
Yep.
like, but Natalie helped
What?
me put this in perspective. But what I thought was the main character, like he just always looked friggin' lost.
Yep.
He did.
But I
Like
think he's
dude, like.
supposed to be.
But yeah, Natalie was explaining to me like and that this was like part one of a part two kind of like situation, and like he's a lot more like he becomes a lot more sure of himself in the next iteration of what happens or whatever.
But see,
So
here's what gets me. So if I were to say I wanted an epic movie that had some battle scenes, but mostly an emotional arc, I would go to something like Braveheart. Like that's my go-to movie of that scale, where
Hmm.
you feel everything. Even the battles have emotion to them. People you see people losing their limbs, people putting themselves on the line. Like where I didn't feel any of that except for that one scene with Duncan, kind of. But like I felt like whatever story they're trying to set up, and now I know what it is because I've listened to so many reviews. Uh, that I don't feel like he got far enough in that arc for me. Like I know this is supposed to be a part one of a part two, but this is a 4 year break between part one and part two. Like I'm not
Mhm.
gonna remember this shit in 4 years.
So,
Some. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
just a quick question. So, do you think he stopped at the wrong point? Is what you're saying?
Okay, all right. I was about to say that before I heard you
Yeah.
speak. I listened to another podcast who actually also read the book and saw the original movie. They think what he could have done was condense this and lengthen the stopping point, because there's some interesting things that happen later on at the midway point on the entire story that would have been a better cliffhanger going into part two. But he put so much extra backstory in part one that the movie was really like 2 hours and 40 minutes. I think it was 2 hours and
But I don't
just.
even feel like
Yeah.
I got lots of extra backstory. I felt like I've
yeah,
got like
I
4 days
yeah.
worth of information. Whereas I'm like, all right, I need shit about the Bene Gesserit. I need to know a lot more about these bad guys, so they're just not ugly dudes who fight, who are there to fight. Like, I need to know more about like, Paul's like this. I understand Paul is a setup for a certain type of thing, but I need to know who's setting this up. Like
Yeah.
that seems more important
Yeah,
than
the thing
Paul.
is, so
Paul
Oscar
shouldn't
Isaac's
even be the main
character,
character. Like it feels
Chris,
like the Bene Gesserit should be the main people.
but they're not. Oscar Isaac's character got a lot more screen time than the original character got in the last movie.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
true.
just because of the strength of him as being an A-list actor.
He looked
Mhm.
great. He
There's a lot of that stuff
acted
that
great.
we
Yeah.
could have cut and then brought in what happens in part two into this movie to give you a better, more cohesive storyline, and they chose not to. Dennis Villanova chose to give us what we saw, and then it is what it
But
is.
see, this is the hard part. Like, is this a Dennis problem or is this a Dune story problem? Where it's like, okay, it's a big story and it has a specific type of story it's trying to tell you, and
Yeah,
you can't tell this in a
Could be
normal
both.
movie
I'm gonna
language.
Yeah.
say I'm gonna say both. I'm gonna say this story from the '60s needs an update for
Well,
for
I felt
for
like
our
some
time.
of it was updated. Like I felt like he simplified some of the stuff to it, but it just feels like I needed a 12 episode series instead.
Oh
That
shit.
it instead where I could go,
Right.
okay, 1 hour. Okay, now you're setting up Paul. Oh, 1 hour, I'm getting the Bene Gesserit backstory. 1 hour, now I understand why these uh
Actually, I
the
laughed,
emperor
but I think you're right.
the emperor seems to be like this name drop, but it's like he seems to be all powerful. But like, what the fuck?
Who is the emperor?
We don't know. I don't know. He's just
Okay,
a
Shokan.
name.
I need to make sure I didn't miss that. I'm like, was it
No,
the
but
slug looking dude? Was
No,
it okay?
It's Palpatine. He's back somehow.
Haha.
no, seriously, they name dropped. Hey, the emperor took Dune away from the bad guys to give to the pretty people, but because he feels like they're uh, encroaching on his turf or something, or they're
Yeah.
getting too popular. But then
But
there's
we-
also this group of witches who are trying to set up this deity, but he's not really a deity. But is he a deity because the dude has magic powers?
Eventually, he'd become a deity. Like Dune, by the way, is a collection of books. It's not just one book.
Right,
There's like
exactly.
two other books in this whole anthology, and the dude becomes Super Saiyan at some point. He basically becomes God, and he scions his own kids, and his kids.
Yeah,
One of
there's
them
a lot
actually
of
takes
religion.
over, becomes emperor. One of his kids take over, becomes emperor.
There's a lot of religion in the story.
Yeah,
Right?
a lot of religion, a lot of not enough space battles,
Yeah.
but a lot of like space politics.
Like, I don't mind the space politics idea, but it feels like if you're trying to tell the story they're trying to get across, hey, this is a bad idea, don't do this. Like, it doesn't feel like you're getting there. Or it feels like if someone were to just sit down and watch this movie, what brings them to the next movie?
Nothing. Absolutely
Like,
nothing
I didn't
is the
feel
answer
like
to that
I went,
question.
oh shit, I have to know what happens after this. Like, and I liked it. I enjoyed it, but I didn't feel like, oh shit, I can't wait till part 2 comes out. When is part 2 coming out?
In 2023, I think.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
only
That's
thing I
Exactly.
it.
could
That's only
wait
2
for
years.
And it's
Are
funny
you-
because Keith and I were saying that's gonna be too far out.
Yeah.
And Denis was like, "Oh man, that's not enough time."
Yeah,
The
because
director
2
was
years does
complaining.
not sound like
Do you know
enough.
what's gonna come and kill all that? Avatar. All the Avatar movies are coming out soon.
Nobody's gonna remember Avatar. Who's gonna remember Avatar?
Dude, Avatar is gonna come in and drop the
I mean,
hammer.
only Gen X like
gonna
us
be
gonna
like-
remember Avatar.
No, dude. They're
20th
making.
anniversary.
Yeah, dude. Avatar 2 is coming in like a
I
budget of
know.
$1 billion.
But all the Gen Z is gonna be like, "What the hell's Avatar?"
They're gonna learn. They're gonna learn.
Alright. So
We'll see.
I'm gonna have everybody give their final take on this on Dune, the first part, whatever you want to call it, and give your grade. So we'll go around the horn. I'll start with you, Mike.
All right. So, like I said in the beginning, beautiful to watch, beautiful sound design, acting was fine. The story was a little iffy for me, but overall, I'm gonna give it a B.
Okay, James. I see you're in your
I believe I
shock
heard
face.
that.
Shock face.
I like the technology that was showcased in this movie. I like some of the visuals. I like the sound, and that's about it. So I'm gonna give it a D.
Woo!
Ouch.
Wow.
You grade it the same as F9? That's sad, man. Come on.
Yeah, I did. There's some better There was some better acting in F9 actually.
That hurts.
That's true.
Better acting and
Yeah.
We're gonna fight.
right, Keith.
I'm coming to your house
I
tonight.
said
We're gonna
something.
fight.
next time I come back, come here. Like,
Like,
I like the movie. I thought it was definitely pleasing to the eye. And it's weird, but I think like that was a big part of actually the appeal of the movie. And making everything else kind of tie in. I feel like the grade that I'm about to give it, had I not heard from Natalie and put certain other things into perspective with the storyline, I may not have given it like I'm giving it a B.
damn, Natalie.
And it definitely would have been something like a C,
Bias.
a C, or
Prejudice.
minus. But like knowing why the dude looked so lost for the whole movie, like the dude, like he was like Bran from Game of Thrones, like why you acting like and then kick some and then just like fight scene he's kicking someone's ass, like, but you're so bewildered with yourself and you don't know what's going on anywhere. I just he was annoying the hell out of me.
Yeah,
But again, Natalie put that in perspective as to you know what's kind of coming next. So like I can appreciate the movie for what it is and where it is on the timeline of the story.
Yeah, they should have handed out an informational pamphlet so you could be at a
Definitely
certain point.
a cheat sheet.
A cheat sheet. I love it. Cheat sheet for movies.
Wait, so what's Keith's grade?
He said a B.
B.
B with prejudice. All right, I got you.
Yeah, B with
James, you just mad this movie was too smart for you.
Really? I watched Foundation on Apple TV.
No,
By the way,
no.
much
Your point-
show.
Shout
Audience,
out to Foundation being good.
When you grade this the same as F9, no, I'm sorry, man. You lost points with me.
nah, man,
Yeah.
nah, man. F9
Yeah.
right there. Neck and neck.
This is definitely not F9 territory.
No, I could
All right.
understand C minus,
Brooksy.
but no.
Yeah, I can respect a C, even a
Right.
C minus, but like a D.
Brooks, go for it. Hit him with it.
F.
Wow. And
Is this the first F you've given this whole year?
I think
Dune
so.
is the worst movie you've ever seen.
I
Oh my
Wow.
god,
I
you thought this was worse than Mortal
hated-
Kombat?
She gave Mortal
Yeah,
Kombat a
dude.
D.
You thought this was worse than Mortal Kombat?
Most of
Really?
them
Yep.
have been D for
I
doo-doo.
would. Yeah, Mortal Kombat was a D for doo-doo. I would rather watch Mortal Kombat than watch this movie again. That's how much I dislike this movie. First of all, I also need to say, I hate whispering. I don't know why.
Oh yeah.
I have always hated whispering. Like, I had a teacher in 7th grade that whispered, and I have PTSD from that class. Like, it makes my skin crawl. It is like nails on a chalkboard for me. I want to bang my head against the wall. It makes me so uncomfortable. And this entire fucking movie, everybody whispered, and I could not handle it. And that is probably the reason I'm giving it an F. And it's not because like I talk loud or anything like that. I don't know what it is. Whispering is like, it's just like whatever the noise is, it really affects me. And I hated this movie.
All right.
Final
Wow.
answer.
Wow. I guess I'm gonna drop the bomb.
Yeah, bring it home, Chris.
Wow.
Show them what it's all about.
All right.
A plus, right? A plus.
So this movie,
Come on,
I
Chris, bring us
love
home.
looking at it. I love looking at it. I actually liked a lot.
Yeah, it was very
the
pleasant
story.
to look at.
Don't
I
let
just
Keith
wish. I
kick it in.
actually wish there was actually it focused slightly differently on some other things. I also needed a pamphlet, Keith. Like I needed some. So all of my stuff
Why
that
are
I'm
you
taking,
asking for cheat codes now to watch movies and enjoy it?
I enjoyed it, but then I
can't
went.
wait. I
What
look,
the fuck
I
did
look
I?
forward to seeing him ride the worm.
Oh, I don't. I actually think that's.
If I didn't tell you that was gonna happen, you would have been like, "Huh?"
All right, I'm giving this a B plus.
Good man. You're a good man, Chris.
I can't. I don't know why.
You're a
Like
good
I
man,
watched it.
sir.
I was completely.
You're a
I
good
was.
man.
I was into the movie when I was watching it, but I have a lot. I do have a lot of complaints, but my complaints, like
B
the technology stuff, is
fucking
minor.
plus. You said a B fucking plus.
A B plus.
Okay. Here's what we need
A
to do.
B
We
for
are going to do.
boo.
Respect
Listen,
it.
we are going to do a group
Respect
watch of
it.
the 1980s version of this movie,
Not
and then
again.
you're going to come back and tell me that this is not a
I have
movie.
yet
Alright.
to successfully get through that movie.
The
Okay, we're gonna
1980
do that.
movie, I will give a C minus because it's funny.
Which one? The 80s one?
The 80s one. It's
Get out of
funny.
here, man.
Funny.
I'm done.
This shit is funny.
It's funny.
It's
Yeah.
it's not
That's
intentionally
gonna
funny, so you can't do
every
that.
time
It's
I try to
it's
watch.
terrible sci-fi. It's the
It's
opposite
not
of
terrible
what it was.
sci-fi. It's. I think it was good enough for what I wanted out of it, and the stuff it was missing was more just explanations of some of the.
By the
things
way,
that made
the
more fun.
actor from Twin Peaks, Kyle MacLachlan, whatever his name is, was a much better version of Timothy Chalamet's character, Paul Atreides. Much
No
better.
way. The dude looked like he was 40 in that
He's
movie.
40. This guy's supposed to be 15.
He acted. He didn't look lost, like Keith said. He didn't look lost in the woods. He wasn't looking at his mom. He didn't look at his mom and want to commit incest. Come on, man.
That was
Dude,
weird.
that was
That
nasty.
was definitely weird.
And yet you giving it B's and freaking get out of here. Let's end this podcast
Look,
tonight.
I'm telling you, all I needed to get this up to an A minus was I wanted to see someone tripping to do space travel. Like how did they not show that shit? That's what I wanted to see. All right.
Yeah. No.
The space drugs. More space drugs.
Wait,
Space drugs.
isn't it a fuel? I thought it was a fuel source or something.
No,
What do you-
that apparently this is what kills me. Apparently, in order to navigate space,
Yes.
the
You need to
the
be high
driver
enough.
has to
Yeah.
be high
Okay.
on spice.
I thought
in
it had
order.
something to do with the actual engines.
No, they explain it in the books. It's explained in the books.
Oh, that
gotta
means
hit
I'm
that
changing my
yes.
grade to an F.
Yo,
Welcome to my world.
Because they
Gotta
didn't
hit
show
that.
space tripping.
I
Gotta
think
hit that
I think
spice.
Warner Brothers and Dune paid Chris and Keith the shilling to come out here on our podcast and give out some positive feedback.
I'm surprised as you
Wait,
are.
what?
I'm surprised as you are.
Did you get a
Mike
check from Warner Brothers this week?
Wow.
So hey,
Compared to the
I don't
'80s movie, I really like this movie much better.
it's still
Much
The
better.
visuals, yeah. the
my
visuals.
last word on Dune is I really want the Dune fans out there to get off your high horse because you basically have a slightly advanced Star Wars here. Like
Right.
don't get all high and mighty here about how smart your movie is. It's slightly better. They were all out there making fun of all the MCU people, making fun of Star Wars people. Look how smart we are because we love Dune. Stop it. Just really stop it, dude.
I'm not even a fan of Dune. I'm not even a fan.
I mean,
Me
your
neither.
And I
your
like
your
it too.
space Jesus has super preacher powers. Like you're not much better than the rest of us.
I had daily text arguments with my sister who's diehard into Dune, and she was like, "Oh my god, the scene where he put his hand there!" I had to explain to Cass, my niece, what that meant, how powerful that scene was, and I'm like, eh.
And
If
you're
you
not
have to explain the scene, it's not that powerful.
You're not. Dune is not. I'm sorry to say, I liked it. Dune is not going to be a next giant IP. It is
No.
a deconstructive, like it's tearing stuff down, which is cool. Movies have to do that sometimes, especially sci-fi. But the big IPs are all positive. Like they make people want to get up and be Luke Skywalker or be Captain America or whatever, like Superman.
Yeah, you know what? I think this movie would have done a lot better in the year 2000, right? A year after the Phantom Menace came out.
Yeah.
I think people would have been all over it.
Before 9/11.
Yeah, in the year 2000.
Yeah.
Because Phantom Menace came out in '99, right?
Yeah,
So-
it did.
Yep.
The Matrix came out in '99 as well.
Right.
Yeah, it would have been perfect time.
It would have been on that bandwagon, and everybody would have gone and seen it and praised it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff that came out. Well, obviously, this came out in '65, but there's a lot of stuff that came out in the early 2000s that's also now just coming to television or movies that we're seeing. That's feeling not as hitting as hard as it might have when it originally appeared.
You know what came out in early 2000s and I'm surprised has not made a lot larger impact? Chronicles of Riddick. That was another.
Oh no, that was terrible, man.
No, I
That's
like
a,
Riddick.
that's
I
a
like
C
Riddick.
minus.
Come
I'm with
on,
James on this one.
bro.
I enjoy
That's
the
what
Riddick
was
series.
Chronicles of
And-
Riddick.
You said it was terrible?
It
What?
was terrible. That's like
That movie
triple
was-
X in space. Come on.
Yes,
No, Pitch
it was
Black.
Space Triple
Pitch
X.
Black was a great horror movie,
Yes, it was a great horror movie.
and Riddick was a good space. What do you call it? You know, like a space opera kind of thing.
Yes.
Opera? You're gonna call
Space
Riddick
opera?
a space opera?
The second one, yeah, the second one I thought was really
It
good.
was. You know what?
Wow.
Now it's split here. All right. Let's call it a night.
No. Okay, we gotta end on that one. Please, everybody, come to our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and tell James that Riddick is not a space
No.
opera, please.
Tell Keith
Please.
and Chris to
Please.
spend some Dune money
Oh my
with the rest of the
God.
pod that they got paid because clearly they're out their minds right now, giving it B's and whatever.
Dennis is writing checks, you know.
He is.
I'm gonna go hang out with Dennis later. Denny.
Also, so wait.
Before we
Yeah.
leave,
He
I have
flip
one thing
sides
to
and now
say.
you got and now you trash talking.
Go for it.
I have one thing to say. I would like to give a shout out to Fast 9, Fast Saga, for their 8 nominations, People's Choice Awards.
We made
Shout
it
out.
90
Best
minutes of
movie.
you and I being a team, Brooks, until this moment.
Wait,
Shout out
you
to the
said
best movie of the year.
It's like when
People's Choice
Macho Man and
Awards.
Hulk Hogan were like best friends, and we almost made it through an entire pod.
People's
Almost.
Choice. The
Jesus.
People's Choice Awards.
Are
Fucking
they the-
and Treacherous 9.
they're gonna get more MTV awards than any other movie, I'm sure.
That's like
They
the
deserve them
Special
all.
Olympics of awards.
Oh, don't
They
say
deserve
that.
them
No,
all.
that's not nice. That's not nice.
That's
You're like,
terrible.
yeah, it's cool, but I'd rather have an Emmy.
I mean, this is not an Emmy type of movie. That's never gonna happen.
Oh, this.
People's Choice.
Yeah. All right.
Well, it's a movie. It can never get an Emmy, so
Yeah,
that's
Oscars
probably
will
it.
take
You get a raspberry.
Yeah.
Razzies.
You get a
Mike,
few, you
where
get a
can
few
people find us?
raspberries.
What's that?
Where can people find us to give us their opinions?
Oh, we are at Heroes Peak on all the social medias: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment below.
Share the content.
Yep, and hit that bell in the corner to get notifications when our new content comes out.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We can't wait to hear your opinions and be told how wrong we are, especially James, how wrong he is.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Tell James and Brooksy why
Tell
Dune is
him
a
a lot.
good movie.
I can't wait to see these comments. Can't wait.
All right. Have a good week, everybody.
Good night.